This episode is sponsored by Property Filter. Find great deals faster.
Hello and welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast, sponsored by us at Property Portfolio Building. This podcast is designed by real people on their journey to achieving financial freedom, and we'll focus on people who've either already attained it, who are joining us on that journey, or maybe a specialist topic that can help you build your technical knowledge to achieving and maintaining that financial freedom. We hope you enjoy it.
Right, welcome back to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Today is one of our case study episodes where we interview someone who has either achieved financial freedom or on their journey to achieving financial freedom, and to discuss a specific case study working with property portfolio building. This guest today is a lead GP in his practice and performs the role of clinical lead for workforce and education, covering 52 practices in Wigan. He has his own YouTube channel, which has grown to 500,000 views in the last 2 years and has led to collaboration with YouTube Health and the WHO. In the last 12 months, he's got educated in property as well, investing, and has taken a lot of action, adding quite a few multi-let HMO type properties to his portfolio and even winning some awards along the way. And is also a father of 2 young children and a very newborn as well. So welcome to the show, Jarek. Great to have you along.
It is great to be here.
Good to see you, sir.
Yeah.
Are you well?
Very well. I mean, a bit sleep deprived.
Good to yeah, well.
That's understood.
I know exactly what you mean from the last few years. So exactly how you feel. So yeah, welcome along. What we do is we start with a bit of an icebreaker, an interesting fact. So the one that we found out about you is actually you were the lead singer of a successful band in your university days. You want to go into a bit more detail about what that was and
I think
what you did.
Yeah, no, it's fun time. So I am someone that likes to push and see what I can achieve. So I've always been into singing, and when I was in uni, I said, let's set up this band. Let's see how far we can go. And what happens is that you get better, things escalate, and we were, doing quite big gigs. We went to balls. We've been to festivals, and we performed at the O2 Academy in Bristol. So things got quite big, and it was just
for the non-cool kids amongst us who don't know any of those things. What is the O2 Academy in Bristol? What is it?
It's one of the biggest venues in Bristol. So we kind of performed in front of around 3,000 people.
Oh wow!
And we had a little set there, which was really fun actually. And it was a bit. I was nervous performing in front of that many people, but when you get started, when you get going.
And was it your music, or was it cover music, or was it a mix? Or?
We used to do a lot of Motown.
Okay.
So I could show you some pictures later, but I was like in flares and the whole like old school kind of stuff. And so we sang a lot of like.
I really want to hear some of it because I absolutely love it.
There's a mic in front of you, right? So let's, I'll get the tune going and you can join me when you're ready.
Financial freedom, I can't start by singing.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, I'm really impressed because it's
such a talent, isn't it?
A singer, a GP, big YouTube following, and property investor. I'm just so impressed with what you've done, and every time I hear something extra, I'm even more impressed. So
to be honest, there's a link and synergy between them. I think you can truly achieve anything if you surround yourself with the right people. And are really good with your time.
100%.
So that's just how I approach things. And you got to believe in yourself, and you can achieve what you set out to. So
very much.
Thanks for kind words.
Very much a mindset thing, isn't it? So I completely agree with that, and we do talk about that quite a bit on the show.
Yeah.
So moving forward, then tell me a bit about your story, your background, your family, education, things like that, and what sort of got you looking to work into extra income streams. In your life and evolve and move towards financial freedom.
Good stuff. Yeah. So I was actually brought up in Ghana, West Africa. So that's where I grew up. I was there for the first 10 years of my life. And it's an incredible place. But I learned a lot of important lessons there about the value of hard work. And although there's some difficult times, there's a lot of stuff that I take with me for the rest of my life. So my dad would always tell me, a phrase, an African proverb, there's no beauty but the beauty of action. So it's all about taking action.
Love that.
And so literally that's how I live my life. So that's how I end up working with you guys. And you can have all the knowledge and stuff, but unless you put it into action, you're not making it forward. So that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
Give me that proverb again. There's no beauty
but the beauty of action.
Oh, lovely.
And so yeah, that's pretty
That
much
is
what
great.
that's my life.
That is great.
Is he stolen that off somebody? Or is that?
Have
you Googled it?
I might need to ask him because
Yeah,
I'm
Google it. See, it'll probably come up.
We,
as a,
we have a similar term in our business that we use quite a bit, and it's just
Okay.
called "get shit done."
honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a polite African way.
Yeah.
I think my dad's got a polite
Yeah,
African
yeah.
way to say
I think
it,
it's
yeah.
very similar, but
Yeah.
phrased differently. But at the
It's
end
an
of the
internal,
day,
it's an internal core value. It doesn't go on the brochure.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was my upbringing, and then we came over to the UK. My dad kind of brought our family over here. We didn't have any family here, but it was mostly he wanted us to have a better life, better education, more opportunities. So yeah, my dad.
So why the UK then? Why? So if you grew up in Ghana,
Yeah.
What did your dad do?
So my dad also like a PhD doctor. It's a medical doctor.
He was a
but at
doctor?
that time, medical doctor. But at that time, he was more into like research and all of that kind of stuff, and microbiologist in particular. So there were more opportunities to further his career by coming here.
Okay.
And on top of that as well, he knew that we would have more opportunities here as well.
Okay.
I don't know if he knew I'd be doing what I'm doing now, but
Right.
obviously he was right in kind of opening us up. to
I
that.
know,
Yeah.
other than knowing the name of the country, I know very little about Ghana. So,
Oh, yeah.
so how does it compare quality of life,
Yeah.
governing rule, that kind of stuff?
No, so Ghana is one of the most peaceful countries in Africa. It's beautiful. We've got beaches. It has got the most friendly people, honestly. And I'd love to take you guys, because I know you guys quite well now. I'd
Yeah.
love to take you guys there. It's got the most friendly people, and we're very open, and very honest. But it does have its own challenges. So quite low kind of economics kind of achievement, and also there's maybe not as many opportunities. So we talked about property. There is more ability to really scale up here and more
Yes,
opportunity.
absolutely.
Whereas more so in Ghana, it might be more linked to who was in your family or who's brought, who's put stuff down.
So a bit
down the
more
rate.
of a sort of class type system. maybe, or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. But it's something, a goal of mine is always to kind of go back there and build something there and all that kind of stuff. And that's, if you ask me who I'm from, although I've got that British accent, I always say I'm Ghanaian because it's such an important part
big
of
part of
who
your
I-
heritage.
it's who I am.
Yeah.
So when did you move over?
So I came here the day before my 10th birthday.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I remember being like, oh wow, like you see all these things like McDonald's and all these kind of things.
Yeah.
And I remember my first day in primary school actually, just it was just like everything was just so new and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. But I really threw myself into that. It was a difficult transition because when I got older, the area that I was going to school, it was quite a dangerous area actually.
Right.
Unfortunately, there were like stabbings. It was
In Ghana, you mean?
no, not in Ghana. So it was when we were.
No, he said Ghana was
over here,
peaceful.
yeah.
He's come to the
Ghana
UK,
did
mate.
it, yeah.
He's come to the UK. We like doing the stabbings.
London.
Yeah.
Yeah, London. So yeah, that was so that those kind of like early teen years and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a difficult area to be in.
Yeah, in that age, getting into your teens.
in that
it's a
age
difficult
as well.
time of your life, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's where the importance of who you surround yourself with is. So I was luckily surrounded by really good people.
Right.
And I was able to navigate those difficulties, but also I got really good at being able to get on with anyone, literally, like the good people, the bad. Like I was able to navigate that whole period. But it was challenging.
Naturally a friendly people person. aren't you?
Yeah. So it's coming like good. It's coming handy. Yeah. Good times. Yeah.
So you come to the UK. We're now in post school.
Yes.
Your dad's already a doctor, so I imagine he's giving you some push towards that.
Yeah, so he and I think it's the importance of seeing people that look like you, that are doing something you want to do. So with my dad,
as a
he had-
role model,
as a role model,
or a
yeah.
mentor almost.
Yeah, so then my dad would have friends who were like black doctors and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, or uncles and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, so you're like, okay, this is possible.
Yeah.
Or like, this person knows my dad, he's doing these things. Why can't I? So while I was saying that, although the school that I went to was in this really bad area,
Yeah.
and there was no kind of support to get me into medical school. I knew that people have done it. Like, if this person has done it before, what makes me different, and and how do I get there? It's kind of that.
So you can see
how,
it's possible. You can see the path quite clearly.
Exactly. And so it was just kind of through applying myself that I was able to then obviously get into medical school. and last in Bristol
You see it all the time, really, which
Yeah.
is if the parental influences are, you know, down that sort of like vocational, educational environment, that the children then aspire to be like that. And
Yeah.
it's sort of that thing. So all you need to do is have the first person to do it,
Exactly.
and then tends to be.
Yeah.
You,
And then
you
the
then,
other
you then create this generational.
The other interesting thing I
Thing.
think you said there as well. Did you say your dad had either friends or other family members that were doctors as well?
Yeah.
So it's not just your parents showing you it can be done. You can see it from other close influences. Is that
That's
right?
what I'm saying. I think that's the key. I feel like that's the key to most things. Obviously, you have self-belief, but you also have to believe that things are possible.
Yeah.
And you know, when I met you two, we talk about property and stuff like that. When I think about some of the stuff that you've achieved, and you've been on a similar journey to me all those several years ago. Obviously, I'm not there yet, but I know.
Yeah, we
if
both
you've
got
done
into
it-
the same property
Yeah,
network, didn't we?
yeah.
We've both done the same sort of mastermind program.
Exactly.
And
We have similar mindset, but
Like
very
there's
much so, yeah.
we talk about it actually quite regularly, which is you tend to be the sum of the people that you most
Yeah.
hang around with, right? So
Some of the five people
if
you
you're in a
most
group of
spend
5
time.
people and 4 people smoke, you become the 5th smoker.
Exactly.
If you're in a group of people and 4 people play rugby, you're the 5th rugby player. You know, so if you're surround yourself, and that's one of the really key learnings in life, really, is like if you're surrounding yourself with people who've done it and are doctors and that kind of stuff, and you can see the pathways and they're all telling you what to do and how to do it, and you look towards that to say, actually, I want to do that.
Yeah.
It creates this personal sort of commitment internally, intrinsically, to say, I can do this. Whereas if you didn't have those influences and you were going to the same school, I'm sure there's people in your school who didn't do that because they didn't
Yeah.
have the same influence. It's the same
Exactly.
in property. If you want to do property and you're not going to property networking events and networking with people who do property really, really well, then you're on your own. And
Thank
that
you.
then is the.
And the other thing is, I was sort of alluding to before, is sometimes, you know, especially when you're a teenager, you don't really listen to your parents that much, do you? So if you have other influences that are close,
you need more than just your direct
you
parental
get more than
influence.
just
Exactly.
the influence from your parents. So I think that's a really good tip as well.
Yeah.
Right. So moving forward, then, financial freedom. What is financial freedom to you? Where are you on this journey? And what's your sort of definition? Because everyone we talk to, there's some sort of different definition of financial freedom.
Yeah. So I would say it's kind of time and location freedom. So what I do now, I really enjoy. Very busy, but you know, I enjoy it. So I'm a doctor, I'm a clinical lead, I do workforce education and stuff. But you also want to get to a stage where you could really be there for your family when you know you're in total control of things.
Control of your time.
Yeah, control of your time. I think that is the key, because we can buy back a lot of stuff in life, but our time is precious. That's the one thing that we can't. So I believe that you should do whatever you can to create that future where you're more in control of your time. So it doesn't mean that I'm unhappy where I am now, but I know where I need to get to.
And then to control your time, is there a financial element you see that helps control that time, and does it
Yeah.
work together? Is that what you mean?
Exactly, yeah. So I actually see it in 2 ways. So I've looked at it as physical assets and digital assets. So obviously with the physical assets, we talked about property, which is what I've been really into as well. But on another side, an interesting thing for you guys with this podcast is there's a real value in digital assets. So I've grown a YouTube channel with over 500,000 views. And very interestingly, that will also bring in some sort of revenue with sponsorships, and that also grows over time. The more work you put into it, you make a video once and it just goes everywhere. I've got a video with almost 100,000 views a few months ago. So I see it in these ways. Oh, thank you very much. And then you build relationships in both of those things. So I've had some crazy opportunities as a result of my YouTube channel. Which working with WHO, being on the BBC and things. So I see it in both these ways. So how do you what assets do you build, and you put the work in now, and they'll pay dividends.
Yeah, it can pay over time and keep paying you, can't it? If you put that work in up front. I think those two things are great examples of that.
I also think it's if you are an average person, let's say, and you're looking at this podcast and you're hearing Derek's story, and he's come from Ghana and he's come here and his dad's a doctor and he's had these opportunities, And then he's saying, oh, wow, he's a medical lead. He's got a YouTube channel and all those sorts of things. Because he's taken all the actions to do those things, by the way. It's not that wasn't gifted. Those things are there. It's probably, you're probably looking at that person and thinking, wow, I would love to have some of those opportunities, to get to that position. But even still, you're looking at where you are now and thinking, I want to buy back my time.
Yeah.
So, and my point on this is, it doesn't matter, as far as I can see, from the people that we interview, the stories that we hear, where you come from or where you go to, at some point, that buying back time becomes a crucial part of your life cycle. And that's the point where you have to take the action.
And having choice of how you use your time as well is a common thing we get with.
So it doesn't matter whether or not you've been working in an office job, or whether or not you work for the NHS, or whether or not you're a social care person, because we see all of these types of people. We've got Matt, somebody who worked for the Royal Mail that we're interviewing later, and we've got all of these types of backgrounds: professional, non-professional, non-degree, apprentice-based, trades, construction, all of these different types of, and it all gets to that point where it's saying, well, I want to buy back some of my time. And it's the common denominator I find that within this, that is the one thing that people want to be able to do.
The other key theme I see with a lot of our guests who are really successful, like yourself, is they start at very different locations. So you complete different country. You might have even struggled to speak English when you got here. I'm not sure.
No.
It is Ghana, sorry. But you're starting different country, different family circumstance. You've moved over here with no family. So you're starting at a very...
I thought I knew nothing about Ghana.
Sorry. I've got to really look into Ghana after the interview.
I've got to take you guys there. That's
exactly. We need to go there, and then I will learn. Whereas I think the misconception sometimes, everyone's like, oh, people that are selling property or do well in business, they're like rich middle class people or whatever that just start like in an affluent family. Sometimes that can actually be a curse, because like,
I agree.
Maybe they're a bit, they live a comfortable life, their parents are given a comfortable life, and they're not looking to achieve the things that say that you've achieved. Whereas you started at a difficult position, not even in the country, and then you've decided to take the action like you said, and that's put you ahead of lots of other people that have started in a different position, if that makes sense.
And that's the thing. So and then you get certain values instilled in you. So for me, even when I got into medical school, it wasn't just getting through it. Like I had to be like the top of the class, because you have intrinsic. You think about the sacrifices that your parents and those that carry that have made to get in that position, and you think to yourself that, look, you have to pay back that sacrifice by working as hard as you can. And so that's been a theme that's run through even as a GP. I've not just done the GP job, but I'm the lead GP in my practice and also in the area as well. So it's what you said. You get certain values from that background, and you can only work hard and surround yourselves with people that think the same as yourself.
And initiative and work ethic. That's it.
Working hard and taking action, it's so important. I mean, lots of people work hard. So sometimes it's working hard and smart in the right things to bring you forward. Because there's certain roles where people work really, really hard, but they may not be getting that financial benefit from it. But there's other people who take the action and work really smart and hard, and the combination of those things, I think.
I watched one of Jimmy Carr's podcasts recently, and he was a guest actually, and he's obviously a very funny man, but he's also quite a deep thinker, right? So you don't realize this, right? He's obviously quite rude, quite in your face, and but actually he's quite a deep thinker about these things. And he basically said, because I talk about struggle, right? So. I think that struggle with purpose is the point of living, right? It's because we're built for struggle. We're built for that type of environment. And if you have a purpose behind that struggle, then actually it gives you that focus and that drive and that to take the action and the initiatives and that kind of thing. And you feel like you're contributing to the world.
Lovely.
And he put it really simply, which was, show me a trust fund kid, and I'll show you somebody who is absolutely unhappy with their life, unless they're doing something with purpose, so because they don't have anything
purpose
to get up
is
for.
Really important,
it's like, well, and I just thought, because some people say, oh well, they're okay because they got given everything on a silver plate. Well, actually, that doesn't make you happy.
Exactly.
That give you purpose.
Doesn't give you purpose. It give you opportunity, certainly, but working towards goals like you have and still continue to do, gives you absolute purpose.
And I think in terms of, obviously as a doctor, I work on like the sharp end of both sides of life, and I'll take you back to purpose.
I've got that rash to show you later, mate. I've got
Please,
that rash
please.
to show you.
Should I leave right now? So I don't have to see it.
My GP said
I'll definitely leave.
My GP said it.
We both believe this.
My GP said it'd be 14 weeks before I said, "Don't worry, Derek's coming on the podcast on Friday."
That's why you brought me here, isn't it? But yeah, I think with purpose. So during COVID, and this comes to my why. So during COVID, I was working in a hospice. So at that stage, you get to really understand what people are like towards the end of their life. And I know you'd have maybe seen online or watch what people say.
I forgot you did this. So you worked in a hospice during COVID.
Yeah, it was difficult.
Harrowing.
Because obviously a hospice environment at that time, families would usually be with a dying person.
Yes.
That's how it usually is. So the hospice is usually, you go into a room as a doctor, you have a room filled with family and you talk to them and all that kind of stuff. So it was a very strange, at that time it was very strange because it was just literally
no one else allowed
in my full PPE and then talking to these patients. And that might have been like the little switch or the trigger to me to actually really think about property seriously, because I was speaking to all these people, they'll be saying, all their regrets. Some patients I'll be holding up an iPad to their face as they were saying kind of goodbyes to the family because the family couldn't be in the room with them. So it was that. So
it's interesting how many mindsets or lives changed during that pandemic because of like circumstances like that. An example that really get you thinking and understanding the most important things in life.
So that's brought like there's an urgency in what I do. So you guys work with me, you know that I can be quite like, what's happening here? There's an urgency to what I do because I know that.
Yeah, you're always looking two steps ahead and want the answers.
Yeah, and covering A, B, C, and all this stuff.
Yeah, you're very detailed.
But you've got to be because you don't know how long you're here for, and that's what it comes back to, that financial freedom. Because whilst you're here, if you can do. You need to be working as much as you can to buy back that time so you spend with your family. Because at the end of the day, that's what everyone, all of them, all of our patients, they all hark back to the same thing.
So you started, let's say mid-year this year, with no income streams in property, in property, and you're going to probably by mid next year in that 12-month timeline have 11 income streams as a minimum through property. What does that do from that time freedom? What does it change for you then? And where are you going to with it from this question?
I love this question because it's making me happy just pushing myself to that future point. I think at that stage, there is something about achieving or feeling like you're making steps on the journey. So at that stage, I wouldn't say I'm stopping anything I'm doing now because I enjoy I enjoy helping people. I enjoy all the different bits, but I know I'll feel more fulfilled because I know that, this time next year, there's pressure off. My wife could probably work less, if she wanted to. And it kind of takes you closer to, my
She could talk to Amy because she's in that position now. Yeah,
I saw your post the other day and I was like, what's the most incredible? That's the most incredible that I can do for anyone.
What was the post?
So you posted about retired as well.
Yeah, my wife who was working full time as a teacher is now full time, with the kids at home. So
but that whatever retirement. So I don't actually want to. No, I don't actually want to stop what I'm doing because there's such an impact, not just in my practice, but now it's become like an international impact in what I'm doing.
Yeah, you really get enjoyment and fulfillment.
Exactly.
Out of it,
and I've only been in this industry for less than a year, and obviously meeting you guys, we coming from the same kind of training as well. Being exposed to the wider network and some of the things I've been doing on the awards and things. It feels like there's still so much more.
Yeah, what's the next stage of your journey?
Exactly.
It just keeps going. There's always the next stage of the journny.
So to answer your question,
just got to enjoy it all the time. I think
I've got to enjoy it more. You're right. That's the thing. Yeah.
So then, could you just quite clearly say where you are on your financial journey and what strategies you're using to get to your first financial freedom goal?
Of course, yeah. So for me, not knowing much, so I knew almost nothing about property this time last year, to be honest.
So 12 months,
So I told myself, what strategy could I do that could replace my income? because when you talk about buying back time, that is what it means basically. So that is the reason why I said about HMOs in particular.
Yeah.
So multi-let properties, because I knew that this is a way in which I could scale.
Yeah, you've got multiple rooms,
Thank you.
multiple income coming in, so you can get to a cash flow goal in property
Exactly.
that way quicker potentially than some other strategies. Is that what you mean?
Thank you. And also with that in mind as well, I knew how could I do it fast? How could I do it quickly? And I realized that the best way for me to do that would be to do some sort of development. So actually, get a small house and make it into several different rooms, basically.
Add
HMO,
some
basically.
value, multiple income streams.
BRR methods. So I knew that. So that's where I was. I was like, so this is the knowledge, and that's the knowledge I had. This is what I need to do. How do I actually achieve this? I don't have any background of doing any building works. I haven't done this before. Obviously, I know enough, but who do I surround myself with? And I think that's what people get stuck. They'll get stuck. They're like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is how I do it. And then what you find is that they'll be sat on that for several years and it never happens.
Yeah.
And I was like, who can I find that will help me with this? And so that's when you go to networking. And that's why I'm glad I met you two as well, because not only are you very experienced in the industry, but also we share so many values.
Similar sort of mindset.
Similar sort of mindset.
Yeah.
We've been through the same process as well. So there's a trust there as well. So that's how I kind of arrived at the method or the vehicle I was going to use to get to that stage. And that takes us to the HMO.
So basically, you're talking about property, you're talking about multi-income HMO properties, and you're talking about development, adding value, the buyer refurbish refinance model.
Exactly.
And then try and recycle, funds out of the deal once you've refinanced and added value to then keep doing it, which becomes momentum investing in
Thank
essence.
you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it harks back to what you mentioned earlier on about network and how important that is.
Yeah.
Because now people ask me, oh, what should I do? Property. I'm interested in property. First thing I say, network. Go to your
100%.
events. That is important.
That's where I started.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what, and you listen to people that are actually successful, because that's what you told me as well. You have to network and build that network.
Property is people.
Yeah.
Forget the
and
bricks.
I do
bricks
that.
loose.
Yeah. People reach out on social media or something, and that's the first thing I say is just
Come to our networking event. Yeah. Can I have an hour of your time? Yeah. Come to the network event.
Yeah.
You can have as much time as you want.
How many people do that though? How many people?
Some do, some don't.
Yeah.
And it is great when you see them. They said, "Oh, I remember I messaged you. There was a girl last night actually. And she said I messaged you on social media, heard about you, and I'm here."
Yeah.
So, excellent.
Good
You've done
stuff.
exactly what you should be doing. We'll catch up further and have a more detailed chat over coffee, etc. Because it's really impressive. Right. So the other thing.
Can I just ask a question on the goal?
Yeah.
Because you said to replace your income. Is that your first goal?
So my first goal would be to replace not my income, but it'd be more replacing my minimum expenses.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
So and then obviously at some point replacing the income would be.
So have you got a number?
So a number, I probably would need between 4, depending on the size of the HMOs. I probably need between 4 and 5 HMOs.
4 and 5 HMOs. Yeah.
I'd probably, I think that's, but it's difficult. Obviously, so we're doing.
So let's say round numbers, that could be £1,000 per HMO roughly, or something like that. So around about £5,000 to cover living expenses. And have you gone through your full living expenses, and if you have a detailed budget?
Oh gosh, that was painful. That was painful. Actually, what an important thing I did actually was I spent about 2 weeks this time last year writing down my 5-year goals in detail. I'm sure you guys had to do this as well, in the most detail. As part of that as well was to actually write down what's coming out, what's coming in, getting the feel of that as well. And it's interesting because I actually wrote down, and I sent this to you guys actually. I sent this to you.
Yeah, I remember.
These are my 5-year goals. And it's literally, I'm going to buy this property in April of this date. I'm going to buy the second one at this date. I'm going to buy the third one in December. And I'll pay for the fourth property from the refinance from the first one. I literally wrote that down. In addition to the amount that I needed to chip in terms of my minimum expenses. So I did all of that. Because, if you don't write it down, it just,
So you've written it down, and that's pretty much exactly what's happening at the moment, isn't
I
it?
wrote it down and I sent it to you. I remember sent it to you. And I
Well,
was
a
thinking,
goal without a plan
yeah.
is just a dream, isn't it? You
And I was
know,
thinking-
you gotta have
100%.
the steps,
Yeah.
the steps in place.
I think I was thinking, oh, these guys must think I'm crazy. Like, so,
No, we
when I sent
absolutely
it
love
to you,
things
but I was
like that because that's us all over as well. So,
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I think I'd probably need depending on the size, kind of between 4 and 5 HMOs, and then
Yeah.
I would need to
Or
figure out.
the next one could be bigger.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
one or two bigger ones, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's difficult as I get more confidence. You know, the one I'm doing now is a larger project than the first one. So as I
Yes.
get more confidence, because you know, there's a lot of support, you know, from like you guys and people around me. It's still very new, and you know, this time last year, I was
Carries
still
risk.
get into it.
Yeah,
so
always
Yeah,
carries
and
risk
there-
as well, so-
no matter who you surround yourself with, there is a certain amount of
Exactly.
risk. But by getting around the best people and the experts, you just bring that risk down to the lower level.
that's
don't
what you
at the
try
end
and
of
do.
the day?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Shall we move
100%.
on?
Stop the podcast now. This episode is sponsored by Property Filter. Property Filter is the #1 property tool for today's property professional. It brings in all the data points and sources from all the property portals and auction sites into one convenient place. Then you have the option to overlay all the clever strategies found in the Property Filter blueprint to find motivated sellers faster. Now, we use it on a daily basis. It saves us over 80% of our time when looking for properties. And if that sounds like something that you want in your lives, please go to register.property-filter.co.uk/PPB, which is the discount code for this podcast. You will get 2 weeks free and a discount on your first month. That's it from me. Back to the podcast.
In this podcast, we love hearing about day-to-day lives of people and what their routines are, what they do, and how about they go about their day-to-day life. So the question is, do you have any daily routines? What is a typical day for you?
Yeah. No, that's a really good question actually, because I've got a 7-week-old, so routine.
No is the answer to that. Yeah.
Routine's very difficult.
I'm trying to hold on to it. It's difficult, but I think that my mindset and my day-to-day has improved 100-fold. Now I've actually got an actual routine. So my actual day routine, I wake up at 5 a.m. every day.
That's right. You told me you do the 5 a.m. thing, don't you?
Yeah.
And
Oh god.
I did this before I read the 5 a.m. Club.
All right.
But it was great book suggestions, by the way, you guys. You've helped. I've read about 45 books this year, and that's
done.
one of them. So 5 a.m. I'd wake up, and then what I do, I've actually recorded my affirmations. So I've got like a list of 21 affirmations, which I recorded this time, like a year ago.
Yeah.
One of them being, I'm a successful property investor. And I recorded this when I didn't even have one property.
Yeah.
So I felt ridiculous about like, okay, I'm a successful property investor. And every morning, so basically I'm in bed and I've got my headphones in and I listen to that 2 minutes, my affirmations. And then, I do, so I'm a religious guy. So I do my Bible study. And then I'm out of the door around kind of 5:45. I go to the gym to have a short workout, come home. And then at that stage, and I'd be kind of getting kids ready and all that stuff. And then, to work. And brutal, the work days are brutal, especially for me at the beginning of the week. That's when I'm seeing my patients. So
Right.
I'd be seeing about 40 plus patients a day.
Yeah.
Kind of 10-minute.
Too many, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like-
it is.
That's
It
a
is.
lot.
You
That is
can't
a
provide
lot.
care at 40 a day.
Yeah.
It's not
I mean-
true care. You're making massive decisions in very short space of time with very limited information.
It's not impossible. It's very difficult, but it is possible because so as a lead GP, I know the patients really well. I know their families. I would have done I saw a patient yesterday. She's 4 years old. I did her baby check when she was 6 weeks old, and I've seen her between.
Yeah.
Just 6 weeks old. She's 4 now. I've seen her in between. So I know these patients. So I kind of know what care that they should be getting, but it is challenging, and that means that when I come home, there's very little of me to give to the family and stuff. So
Must take it out of you.
it does take it out of me. And you see this, like most people that work in NHS, this is what it's like, and we all really love the role, but it takes something out of you, doesn't it? And so you want to get to a stage where you could pour more back into your family. But that's
It's just no wonder that people can burn out with doing the medical roles, isn't it? When you're doing that level of pressure on a daily basis.
As a quantity of patients.
I mean, if there's 8 hours in a day, put 40 into 8. It just gives you the indication, and that's not no break times, bathroom times, drink time.
But
And I thought doing 15 to 20 projects was hard.
Yeah.
You're seeing 40 patients a day.
but it's almost like although there is a difficulty in challenge there, but when you say burnout, I think if people, so I know a lot of my colleagues that have burnout, and that happens when you don't feel there's a purpose. So when you kind of go through the motions. Now for me, because I've got all these external roles, even my YouTube channel, that actually feeds into my practice, because we actually send my patients my videos, and we've got audit data showing how my cancer videos have actually shortened the time to diagnosis for the patients in my list.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
So it all feeds into each other. So I feel like it is tough. I won't lie, but I feel like it's a greater purpose in terms of what I do. So I think that's how you try and manage or battle burnout, basically. And the people that are just going into work 9 to 5, day in, day out, they feel there's no way out. They feel there's no future to invest in or to work towards.
Yes.
Then that you get there.
I can
quicker.
completely relate to that. So the other thing is with having a young family and the sort of lack of time and all the other pressures and everything you're doing, do you find that you're really dedicated in the hours you are working and you get a lot done in those times because it's a bit, it's challenging with a young family? And do you also find that you've got a really good reason why, because of your family?
Great questions. I think the most important thing, if you have a network and you form a team around you. So people always ask me, they're like, Derek, how are you doing all these things at the same time? And then I've had to tell them that, do not feel bad. I'm not doing these things. I've got a virtual assistant that does a lot of stuff. Obviously, I'm working with you guys. So there is no way that I can be seeing 40 patients a day, run a family, and be managing. I've got a couple of projects now. It's not possible. Do you get what I'm saying? So you have to, I think people have to realize the value in surrounding yourself with a team. It doesn't matter how small you are.
It's one of the first questions that we get. One of the objections we get is, I don't want to do it myself. And I'm like, well, you can do it yourself. It'll cost you more, and you'll learn less. Yeah, probably.
But the other thing is, at what point is it doing yourself? Because if you got a building project, as an example, you can dig the foundations, you can lay the bricks. It's like what element do you start and
You're
stop?
going to put the plumbing in, Because we had spoke to the property CEO guy, Richard Clapson, recently, if you remember, and he was talking about just be the CEO.
Yeah.
Just be the CEO.
I love his way.
Don't do everything yourself. Just be the CEO.
You're
still
the CEO
your
of the
project.
development, and you need everyone else below you to perform their roles and be the professionals. You don't have to be an expert in those things. You just need to find the right team.
Exactly. And literally that permeates into, I know we're talking about property, but that permeates into everything. Even my YouTube channel, literally, all I do is literally record. That's all. I sit in front of the camera and record. I've got a team that help me script things. I've got a team that edit things. I've got someone that would upload the videos onto YouTube at the time.
Sounds like another podcast that we go
Exactly. But and this is what you guys are doing. So I think
I didn't even know the platforms I was on last night when I was talking to people, and someone showed me, they're like, oh, we listened to it on Audible. I'm like, it's on Audible? I didn't even know. And I got the timer on, said it's coming out 9 a.m. tomorrow, and then Amber said it comes out at 6 a.m. I just didn't even know, so I get what you mean.
That's the thing, and I think this is, I look up to you guys because you've achieved so much on your journey, and that's what you guys do as well. You got to use leverage. You've got to leverage your contacts and those around you, and that's the only way that you can achieve these things. So that's pretty much that's how I work things through.
Shall we move on?
Yeah. Right. So we want to talk case study now, because obviously we're working together. We've been a big part of your team in the last 12 months. You've gone to a full cycle and delivered your first 5-bedroom HMO conversion, which is a mid-terrace.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a bit about that project and talk about the key things like the numbers?
The only caveat is here: don't use the full address.
Oh, definitely.
I have not mentioned the address.
No.
Can I call it the name? So I'll
you've got a name
why I call it. I'll tell you why.
Yeah, you tell us the name and tell us particulars, tell you the important things and the key metrics.
Yeah, I'll tell you that. So the important stuff to me. So this project was actually located very close to the first hospital I worked in as a junior doctor.
Excellent.
And when I first moved to this hospital, the accommodation that I lived in was terrible.
Yep.
It was like a HMO style. It was really bad, and that was the standard around that area. and you know it well, right? So I just feel proud that I've created a product in this area because that's very close to the hospital. I'm like, wow, like this is where I wish I lived in all those times ago.
So very convenient location as well.
It's a great. The bus stop is literally just outside and things. So it's
close
incredible.
to motorway links as well into Manchester. So
yeah. So for me, I call this project Project Sankofa, and the reason why I call that so the tribe that I grew up in, we've got these wisdom symbols. So we live our life by certain kind of symbols and stuff.
Yeah.
And so Sankofa is one of them, and it means basically going back to your past, taking all the learnings and then bringing it towards the future. And I thought for my first project, this is an apt way to call it, because all I'm saying is, you build a team, you get the knowledge. This is my learnings and all that kind of stuff. I'm actually practically applying it to an actual thing that is going to be the vehicle, to allow me to reach that financial freedom. So I was like, this is the perfect name for my first project.
Excellent.
So this is advertised as a 2-bed property. 2-bed terrace, and over about kind of 18 weeks it's been converted into a 5-bed all-en-suite HMO, incredible finish, loads of demand for the property as well. So yeah, and the good thing, I remember taking my dad to see the finished product, and it was like one of the proudest moments, because how have you done this, because he's seen all the updates and seeing the finished one.
I remember you sending that really that was good touches.
I sent you the pictures in that.
That was really touching that he was so proud of you.
That was great to see.
That was great for me.
Excellent. So I'm a numbers man as well, so tell me what are the key numbers for this one? Sort of purchase price, general spend, final value, and those sort of things. Can you lay that out for our listeners?
Yeah, good stuff. So we purchased a property at £140,000. The actual cost of works was around £98,000, and then the professional
building
fees,
works.
Professional fees and stuff, it was around just under £15,000. And then obviously through all the works, we were expecting the final value to be £340,000 as well. So it's been valued.
We've just had the valuation survey done, haven't we? So we haven't got the final report. But
But I mean, to be honest, with the rents that we're achieving, it probably should be higher than 340. But
we kind of know. Surely we know what it's roughly going to be.
I think 352.
It should be 350. Is my guess. And I met the surveyor, I had a good chat with him and that. So you'll see. But I've said 340 to be. And what was the original appraisal?
I think it was 325.
325. So potentially 20 to 25k higher, which would be a really great result.
And I was telling you guys, this has got a potential for me to be an all money out deal for me. Because of the way I funded it. So very, you talk about mindset and believing in yourself. So kind of went out there and I was able to raise some private finance for the development works. So I didn't take out any bridging finance for the works to the property.
So that's a good point actually. So, fully cash funded. Combination of your own cash funds and private investors. Is that right? So we talk about this quite regularly, is that if you use bridging and development finance, there's a lot of costs with the interest and also other fees that will stay in the deal. So I think we usually work
surveyor fees,
something like that is like 35k might have gone to the bridging costs, which you've ultimately saved.
And the 35k, that is the uplift of value more than I would have expected when you first
got the appraisal. You mean as well?
Exactly. So it's a great project, and it's a good one I'm really proud of, actually.
Oh, that's great.
You should be. I mean,
it's really it is great.
I mean, it hit the market, and it was like in a week and a half.
That
it was available.
It's had lots and lots of interest in it. It's pretty much fully let now, isn't it, as well? Because it's only been on the market a week and a half, 2 weeks.
As of yesterday, the last holding deposit was taken. So it's 2 weeks start to finish.
So really great.
I couldn't believe it. Because I mean, it's interesting because and this is why you guys have been through this process so many times. But so there's always some nervous, like when I
it's a bit unknown, isn't it?
Unknown at what's gonna happen, all that kind of stuff. But really taken aback by how much interest,
it's a super product
and stuff. So
I think the best products sell.
It's a great location, especially for the type of tenant we're looking after, and like you say, it's a great product. So it's got all the ingredients for that sort of success.
Good location, great products. Great product. Yeah.
So then cycling back, so obviously we worked together on this major part of your team.
Yeah,
Why did
definitely.
you choose to work with property portfolio building? Like, how has it benefited you? What value has it added? And what have we been like to work with along the journey of this
This is a
project?
shame. This is a
Yeah.
shameless question. There's no shame in this question at all. Like,
Sometimes
tell us why we're
I'll give
great.
you-
we
Yeah.
do we do
I
a lot
do.
of excellent promotion of our guests, but occasionally, very occasionally, we need to find
give
out
you
or
guys
get the
props.
feedback as well.
No, I give you guys props. I respect you, and I think the most important thing is that I know you two as individuals, and the reason why you've got to be really careful of who you work with. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of kind of JVs in the property industry, or all this, whoever you work with, all that kind of stuff. You've got to be able to trust them, and I knew that not only are you guys very experienced in the industry, but I truly get on with you. I look up to you, and then we share the same values. So, when I first met you, I think I met you first,
Yeah.
Phil, and then we sat down for breakfast.
Oh,
I was
forgot about
like,
that.
yeah, it's a while ago, wasn't it? And I was like, we just have so much in common. And I think
It's all
that's
my
what
medical
we both.
expertise, you see. It's all.
I didn't see any rashes though. Thankfully,
That's my lifeguard certificate that I had at 16 years old.
he did show me any rashes, thankfully. But yeah, so at that point, I think it's because you two are generally good guys, and obviously lucky enough that because we have been through the same pathway, we've both been on the mastermind, we've had the same training. I knew that the way in which you're going to approach this product would be how, it's how I would as well, because we always go for the highest spec in the market.
Yeah.
Try and hit their rental ceilings.
Yeah.
It's not about cutting corners, doing cheap, because
Quality
And
accommodation. So
that's-
quality people rent it, and they look after it in a
that's the
quality
thing.
way.
And people don't
Top end of the market.
Yeah.
Top tenants in the area and everything like that.
exactly. People don't always get that. People are like, oh, why have you spent so much and all that kind of stuff. But then when you show them the numbers, you show them that for me it's an all money out deal.
Yeah.
Of course,
Well,
it makes sense.
The HMO industry is like any industry. I say this a lot, which is if you look at the car industry, every car's got 4 wheels and a steering wheel. But there's a big difference between a Fiat and a Ferrari. Not that there's anything wrong with either of those two brands.
Yeah,
right?
they all have their spot in the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the main reason why I wanted to work with you guys, really. And it's been a great relationship. Back and forth discussing any issues. You've been very helpful and stuff. So yeah.
No, that's great. Thanks very much. Right. So we also want to talk a bit about success and failures, because it's very easy to talk about all the successes, all the good achievements everyone has in these sort of podcasts, but there's always some challenges and issues that come up along the journey. So it'd be good to know what are some of the biggest challenges or failures that you've had in your current journey to financial freedom.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's so many, and I always think that you're not growing unless there's some sort of challenge.
Yeah.
Because you can then rise to it, and it's something that you can then reflect on and help other people with. So if I say specifically with this project that we've just talked about, a challenge of that was when it was first valued. So before the works, it was actually down valued. So the value said the valuer at that time said that this property is not worth what you bought it for, and he also said that it's not going to work as a HMO and stuff like that. So what happened
Actually,
there?
that's a good point, because the
Yeah. I don't
GDP
remember
that
that.
surveyor gave,
Yeah.
it
was terrible.
So the final valuation, let's say it's 340, 350.
Yeah.
I think that initial valuation surveyor valued at 270 or something.
Yeah.
Very long way off the mark. So very wrong.
And also valued
which
the
is showing
property. The value said that we bought the property for way too much, which really because obviously I did my own research and in the area and stuff, and so that
And
buying
it was actually below market.
it was
wasn't it?
way below market.
It's a great deal.
Yeah,
So the surveyor in both accounts was really wrong, and it's an
Exactly.
interesting one, because that surveying company is someone that we use quite regularly, but the person that we knew the most had left that business.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah.
we
we had a junior.
so we had a junior, a different person that we hadn't dealt with, and they just valued it completely different to all the evaluation reports that we'd had previously from that same business.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting.
So yeah, that being one. I mean, you think first development, this happens, but it takes you back to, so because I knew my stuff. I did my research in the area. I knew the kind of product I was going to bring.
Yeah,
to
and I
the
think I
market.
remember we were quite confident saying we
And
just
you-
think that's
exactly,
wrong. We've got lots
exactly.
of evidence to show otherwise.
Yeah. So I could have been, just down about it and not appropriate, but really, really low about it. But I was like, you know what, this is the situation. It is what it is. And what can I do to move forward? So the result of that meant that I had to find some extra funds, basically, because of that report.
Yeah.
I had to find some extra funds, which I did, and which I was able to raise. But that's a real challenge. But it's also a thing about conviction. How much do you believe in yourself? And there will always be challenges. Even in my current project, there's challenges. Everywhere, and it's not to expect that there won't be those challenges. But you should always look at how you can rise above it.
And there's a solution for everything, isn't there?
It's a solution for everything. You know me quite well. Like I always have like an A, B, C solution before things happen, and there's no point crying or being down about it because it's happened.
And sometimes the solution just costs a bit more money.
Exactly.
And then in the
People are
bill
fallible
budgets
as
you
well
have a
at the end of the day,
contingency, don't you? Which is what it's
Exactly.
for. So.
And all your professional consultants, everything, surveyors, architects, engineers, they're all fallible. They're human at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So we do make errors ourselves. So when something that comes in that just looks completely wrong, ultimately you just got to take a view.
But I think ultimately, you put quite a good amount of trust in us because we just said these are the reasons why we don't agree with that report. Even our professional surveyor had done it with Rick's qualification. It was not right fundamentally.
Yeah, but also what happens as well. So you always have a degree of trust, but I think it's also important to also have. For me, you also need to know the process. So you actually need to. So what actually happened in that process was that I had access to data. Of the area, I had access to some of your rents in that area as well.
We had another.
And other valuation reports.
We had a property less than a mile away. We had a
Yeah.
valuation
And
report.
I had other valuation
in the same
reports.
town, arguably your location was slightly better. And this one, we had a valuation for a 6-bed at what, 390?
Exactly.
So 1 bedroom different,
Yeah.
120 grand different. It just wasn't right.
So this is what I'm saying. So then you have access to that stuff, and then you do your own work. So I was like, okay. So it's not just kind of blind trust. It's also knowing that, just look at this. Like I have seen the
You
data
can do your own
myself,
checks.
and I know what the finished product is gonna be, and it's obviously persevering through that process. Yeah.
At the same time, you always need to appreciate that some of these surveyors, they might not be experts in this field, they might not be experts in this type of products, and they're guessing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is like you can be the best surveyor in the world, but you still got to make a judgment on what you think the value is and put your insurance up against it. So if you don't know, you're going to be more conservative. And it just goes to show that sometimes they're too conservative in their estimations. Because if you buy something for something, you add a value of this, and then you give it a value that's lower than both those items, then it has to be for a reason, and there was no
It's an
justification
interesting
for it.
one actually say about the knowledge of the area for that survey is very important.
Yeah. He came from the other side of the Pennines, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And so I did 3 valuation surveys the other day with a surveyor working with now, and because we did them together, we got I was in his car driving around, didn't use a sat nav.
Exactly.
Yeah, the surveyor.
And I'm like,
Knows the area.
do you not need a sat nav? Do you not need the postcode? He's like, no, I
That's
know
a
where it
good
is.
point.
Yeah.
You knew the areas,
That's a
you
good
knew
point.
the
He knows
streets
the
that
streets,
well.
yeah.
So that puts you a lot of comfort. It's like
It's hard to argue with that guy then.
Yeah,
Isn't it? That's
very difficult. So if he gives,
so whatever he comes back with, I'm going to go, yeah, that's probably right.
if he gives a down valuation, he really, really knows the area.
Yeah.
So it's a big difference, isn't
Exactly.
it?
Good stuff.
Excellent. So we talk a lot about advice that you get from, say, other people, mentors, coaches, or things that you've read or heard. So what we want to know is what's the best piece of advice you've ever received from somewhere or something?
Yeah. So for me, I've been on a real personal growth journey this year. So I've read about 45 books so far this year. And
given it's only the 30th of January, that's impressive. That's 2 books in now. We're in
Depending on when this...
you're gonna edit.
We're in November. We're in November.
The filming of this podcast is in November, even though we will get released in the new year. So.
But yeah, for me, so one of the best books I've read this year is The Slight Edge, Jeff Olson.
Right.
And that book is all about the small actions you do on a day-to-day basis. That is what compounds
Excellent.
and gives you the results.
Yeah.
Because I think some people would feel that you wake up overnight and have all the success.
Yeah.
No.
But there are things that you did every single day. So
Consistently all the time
consistently.
to get to that point. Yeah.
People ask me, why are you waking up at 5 a.m.? Like, why are you in the gym? I'm not doing it because I'm going to get like an 8-pack and all that kind of stuff. But this feeds into other parts of your life. It feeds into the discipline you have, how accountable you can have. Because if you can be accountable to yourself, you know, now I trust myself that I can wake up at that time, go through something really uncomfortable on a day-to-day basis. And I have that backing in myself. And so mentally, what I'm telling myself is that if I can do this really difficult thing any day, I can do anything. So that's what I believe I've built in myself.
Yeah.
And so that is the message that is going through everything, and even into my YouTube stuff as well, and my content stuff. You know, you put out a video. When I started, I was getting like 10 views and all that kind of stuff. But you don't realize that like what you guys are doing in this podcast, these are little seeds that you're planting. Yeah. And before you know it, if you're consistent, in a couple of years' time, you'll be like one of the biggest.
It's
podcasts
really,
in
really
this
great.
space.
I really love it because it's the snowball effect, isn't it? And we talk about Warren Buffett a little bit on this podcast, but it's the same in action you take. Like you say, if you're continually taking action, you get the compound snowball effect of the benefit of that in the future. It keeps growing over time. Yeah. And again, similar with investing. If you keep investing or consistent in that, you get that compound effect and that snowball effect over time.
Exactly. So that is for me, and it is good because it keeps you going when you feel like you're not making any progress.
100%.
You know, because
when you sat in your room with your home studio on your own, like making a video, you know, I don't even know what I'm talking about sometimes. I've just done the script beforehand, you know, and you're like, I don't know whether anyone's going to watch this.
Exactly.
And then 2 years later, people go, I saw your video.
Yeah. Honestly,
on this, you know.
So I was on the BBC about 3-4 months ago. So they interviewed me, and I was on the radio and the website, and basically, it was an interview about, you know, the content, all the stuff I've done. I was like, I can't believe I'm on the BBC. But I made sure that they put out on their website that other doctors and other medical professionals should be doing this to drown out all the misinformation. And the reason why I did that is because a lot of people can be disheartened when you just start and there's no one watching your stuff and all that kind of stuff. But I put it out there saying that, look, you are doing an incredible job. Just keep going, and that's the important.
The other thing is everyone's sort of an expert in some sort of field, aren't they?
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't realize it. So if we took like building developments, you know, I was working, it was a job for many years, but never really thought I'm an expert. I can help someone else with that.
Because you sat around with other people who do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So the 5 people you're around with, it might be somebody who's slightly better than you, slightly worse than you.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're the top 1% in the country. That guy might be slightly better than you, but that means you're, you know, it's still top 1%. You know, like, so you don't see yourself an expert.
Exactly.
You judge the people next to you. You know, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I really.
Should we move on?
Yeah. So you now have the opportunity to ask myself and Phil a question.
Here we go.
Yeah, no, good stuff.
What have you prepared today, and what's your question for us?
Shall I start off with you then?
Sounds good.
Good stuff.
Fire away.
So we're quite in similar kind of family things. So, family dynamics. So I've got a 3-year-old and I've got a 6-week-old.
Yeah.
And I know you got 2 kids as well.
Yeah. So I've got a 3-year-old and 18-month-old. So very similar. In that
exactly.
way.
So I obviously I've been doing a lot of this self-development work. You suggested 2 really good books to Leo this year. So we've talked about the 5 a.m. Club. Also, the monk who sold his Ferrari, but by Robin Sharma. Yeah. And those 2 books, it'd be interesting to know how you actually apply some of the stuff, or how you find time now with the 2 kids, and it'd be really interesting to know how you actually apply that into your life, your day to day.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is challenging. The routine is challenging with young kids because they rely a lot of support and their routines are inconsistent. So I'll just be completely honest, it is challenging, and I think a lot of people listening that have young children would understand that. So I'm not at the moment getting off at 5 a.m. I did do it for a bit.
Yeah.
But I think my big takeaways from like say the 5 a.m. club, I know that I'm at my best in the morning. So I really like to set up my day. Like I like to set up my day the night before, and then in the morning, you know, I might do a few steps. I might take the kids to nursery or whatever. But when I sit down at that desk, I know like 1 or 2 hours in that day, I can achieve pretty much everything I need to for the day. And then later in the day, it's more general things or calls and conversations and catch up with people. It's not those real hard action tasks because I've sorted out in the morning, got me going. So they're my key takeaways from that. Even though I know in the 5am club there's like a really strict regime that he reckons and things like that. Yeah. And I see the benefit of that, but I think ultimately my key takeaway is like, if you're good in the morning, really use that time wisely in the morning and do take your solid actions, your difficult actions at that point in the morning.
Eat that frog.
Eat that frog.
Get the difficult stuff done.
Yeah, have you read that book as well?
No, that's on my list. On my list. I'm actually not a morning person at all. I've always hated waking up in the mornings. But
that's probably because you're getting up at 5 o'clock, Derek.
No, I started getting up this early this year. Like literally after my mom or whatever, I was going to school. When she used to drive me to like secondary school, I was always grumpy and stuff. But just like, I do see the benefits of you starting your day early.
Because what does Robert Sharma say? Something like beat the morning, beat the day or something like that. If you can do that, it really sets you up your day and you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
We sort of do that with our week sometimes, don't we? We have really difficult Monday, Tuesday, do all the really solid stuff.
Yeah.
And then by the time we get to Friday, we can sit down and have great podcast conversations with people like this.
Good stuff.
Good.
No, excellent.
And then
question.
I think I've got a question for you as well. So this is a good. So for me, I guess because you know me quite well, you know what I'm trying to achieve because I've sent you my 5-year goals, and from that perspective and knowing what I've achieved so far, I'd like to know if you were in my position, how would you move through your steps to financial freedom? Because we've gone through that whole. You start with a cash flow,
then profit,
then
then
profits and assets. So
the wealth
and I remember you sat me down. I think we sat down for maybe a couple of hours. And I think at that time,
because you were saying you wanted 10 HMOs for 4 years, and I was like, don't do that.
Yeah, I told you I want 10 HMOs.
Don't get me wrong, I'll build you 10 HMOs. That sounds great to me, but no, don't do that.
That's exactly. You were like, no, let's sit down and stuff. And obviously we had that discussion, quite a while ago, and so I've not had that rediscussion with you.
Oh, we could definitely do that.
So it would be good. Now I'm on the way. Now I've actually got properties. It'll be good to see your practical steps.
Yeah, I mean, so we're talking about the wealth pyramid here. So just for anybody at home, basically, I class HMOs as cash flow assets. So cash flow assets replace your day job to give you the time to do other things, and then you're looking at profit. And then the true assets, which are the things that are, you might have done 20-year leases or, like industrial units and things like that, or single lets in the most popular part of town.
The most passive type.
The most passive,
The most slightly lower returning, lower risk,
most expensive asset
really,
in the area.
Really great for generational wealth.
Yeah. So, and profit being lump sums of cash that you've generated through, something that you've done or income that you've not had to spend in the year that you've been able to save, right? So that's kind of the definition of those three levels. But also I'm going to answer it slightly differently, if that's okay. So I would probably look to say, right, so you said it in this podcast, 4 or 5 HMOs. Well, actually, I'd set that down and say, what's the income target?
I get what you're saying.
Okay, don't do the number of HMOs, do the income target, and then say, right, how do I get to that in the next 1 to 2 moves? Can I do that? Because a 7 or 8 bed with planning might take you 4 extra months. It's slightly more risk, but you've done 2 permitted development ones. It might be quicker if you did a planning one. Yeah. And then because an 8 bed HMO is as good as 3 6 bed HMOs. Yeah. From an income perspective, generally speaking. So maybe we'll look at that. But then being totally open, like you also talked on this podcast about your 40 GP appointments a day, and yet you're also talking about your YouTube channel saying, it's getting people through to diagnosis faster. Yeah. Well, the good people in any sector, the really good people, shouldn't be doing the day-to-day, right? The really good people. And I would put you in that bracket. So if you're getting YouTube knocking on your door saying, would you be our medical practitioner? If you're getting the BBC saying, would you come and talk to us? Like, that's not you doing those. That's people who know the value of your time, who are trying to get you onto another platform to add the value to people. So you can reach more people. It's more than 40 a day people by creating these communities and assets in the more public environment than you can in a private environment, and you can help more people doing that. And when you look at the TV doctors and the people who are actually helping people on a day-to-day basis, the ones on Lorraine and the ones on, they're no different to you. They have the same type of personality, they have the same willingness to actually put themselves out there, they're action takers, There's one who's just moved around the corner for me, by the way. I can't remember his name, I would say from your perspective is look at those two things, because you spending your time don't get me wrong, your patients will love you, and it's probably something I became a doctor to do that. You can also still do that, but maybe that's something you need to have a look at, because if you're buying back your time, then where's your most time spent? Where are you most exhausted, and how much value is that adding to the world? Because you're helping 40 people in a day. Okay,
maybe
you could help 4,000 people in a day by doing something differently, by buying back your time and creating that.
Or by getting to that income goal or financial freedom initial goal, that will help decide on that facet of your work and your time. When it will help free up that time.
You've got something that is a unique quality, which is an immediate likability factor, and that is a quality and that's not me just blowing smoke. That's a genuine quality. And it's not something you can teach. It's not something that you can learn. It's just something that somebody's values shine through, and you can communicate really, really clearly. You can communicate much clearer than I can. Your sentence structure, the way that you communicate, it suits that environment. So when people listen to you, they're going to understand what you're saying much easier. Because I tend to overcomplicate things and overconfuse things, but trip myself up in sentences. You don't have that. Your communication style is excellent.
Thank you.
And I genuinely think that if you continue down the road you're going, and you get the financial freedom and the property backing, and you continue to build those assets, and you continue to take those opportunities, don't turn down anything like a BBC or a YouTube or anything like that, then just don't forget us when you're when you're at the galas and all that kind of stuff. If you want to plus one,
when you had millions of subscribers on your channel, I would still hope you come back and do another episode on this podcast.
Oh no, honestly, I do appreciate you guys, and you're a big part of my journey, and even I've not mentioned it so far, but I've had the pleasure to be nominated for pretty big awards in the property industry.
Of course.
So in a few weeks.
I saw that. I saw that last week. I'm very happy to promote you for that. So definitely, whilst I'm there, I'll be kind of singing your praises, because obviously you're
we'll be there.
Big part. Not the. Would you? I didn't know that. Oh, that'd be good. The Property Investors Award, 30th of November.
Oh no, it's a different one I'm thinking about. I thought it was the dinner that we're going to, but maybe
the week before. That's the week before.
The dinner, obviously I'll be there as well with you guys. But obviously it's been great having you part of the team, and it's just obviously getting the journey. So thanks for your advice. I really appreciate your words, and it's something that I'll think about. A lot's happened for me this year, so I probably need some time to sit down and just kind of take everything in. But I think I'm on the way, and it's through networking, meeting people like you, getting the knowledge and actually put it into action. Like I said earlier on, that it's allowed me to progress.
Yeah, that's excellent top tips.
Lovely
for people. So
thank you very much.
So just to close off then, if any of our listeners want to get in touch with you or learn more about you, or anything like that, do you want to say how they get in touch, or any services that you want to promote to our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, so you can just find me on so I'm on LinkedIn, Derek Adu-Sarkodie, same as my Facebook as well. If you want to check out my YouTube channel, that's called Adu-Med, and the channel's literally just medical advice I give to allow people to make better decisions about their health. So I don't sell anything on the channel. It's all about easy access. I've got maybe
good access to the right,
and I put like the research stuff on it as well. So you can, if you want to see where the research behind what I'm saying is, because it's really important that what I say is evidence based and all that kind of stuff. So you can check out the YouTube channel as well.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll put those links in the description notes as well. So
I'll let my GP know. The reason I'm not seeing it for 3 years is because I just follow.
Yeah.
Adu-Med.
Yeah. I don't have to see the rash there. You can just go on the channel to check it out.
It's been an absolute pleasure. So thanks very much for coming along today. Some really, really valuable information, I think, for our listeners. And
thanks for having me.
Good stuff. See you in the next one.
See you on the next one. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you once again for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast, sponsored by us at Property Portfolio Building. If you want to get in touch with us about today's podcast or any of the learning topics that we've gone through today, you can email us at podcast@invest-prop.co.uk or get in touch with us with whichever your social media platform of choice is. If you think you would add value to us as a guest on this podcast, you can please get in touch and let us know what you would be able to talk to us about. Other than that, we wish you well on your financial freedom journeys. And once again, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.